This video is about 3 ways for Christians to avoid burnout in entrepreneurship, but this also might apply to you just doing too much in work, in family, signing up for too much in ministry. But really, I'm going to focus on this stuff as it applies to entrepreneurship. If you've had burnout in any way, shape, or form, you've struggled with it, or maybe you're burnout right now, this is a video that I'm going to make that's super practical to help you get out of that or avoid it in the future. Number 1 way to avoid burnout is not by fixing things externally. Okay, a lot of people rush to the external. They're like, okay, how can I do less? How can I have more fun? How can I be more congruent in my job? How can I do things that I like versus things that I don't like? How can I make sure just to do 6 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day? And we're rushing to all of these external ways to solve this problem. We rush to do that because we've been trained as a culture to focus on the external to solve all of our problems. If your marriage is not doing well, find somebody new. If your job's not good, find a new job. If you're not making enough money, make more money. If you're burned out, do less, right? We rush to the external, but we all know those aren't always the solutions. With marriage, you're going to find somebody and it's going to repeat similar patterns that you've had before. If you jump into a new job, guess what? That's going to get tiring as well. And you're going to have to do stuff that's not sexy anymore. You make more money, guess what? More money, more problems, right? So there's going to be problems that surface no matter what because of your internal state. And there are things that are there underneath that are driving people into burnout. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs that I've heard that just do busy work just because they're so afraid of being lazy. And so they just do and do and do and do and go because they have this internal driving force that says you're not enough, you're not doing enough. And so that driver is just making them do random crap that doesn't matter. There are also so many other people, they have these big high stakes emotions around really small things. They have to go take a sales call and they're like, this is terrifying, oh my gosh. And they did that one sales call for 1 hour and they're like, I'm burnt out for the day. And it's like, was that really because you did too much? Or was it because there was so much anxiety and emotion and feeling around that one thing that you did that was small? When you're looking at burnout, you have to trace it back to, when was I last not burnout? When were things good? When was I happy? When was I connected to hope and joy? When was I connected to peace? When did I feel like, man, I could work a 10-hour day and I'm still good? What was going on in my state? And was there something that happened that triggered me? Something that triggered me in my business is I had a negative $90,000 month. That compared to having $120,000 in profit on a month, $60,000 in profit on another month. It's like all of a sudden we were losing money a lot. And I was faced with this really difficult decision to either foil the business, figure out how to problem solve it, which we'd already tried like 20 to 50 different big solutions to solve problems, or let go of half my team. And so you can imagine solving this problem really only took maybe a couple hours to do it, right? But what was weighing me down and caused me to be depressed for probably 6 or 7 days was feeling the intense weight and emotional codependency. I felt so distraught knowing that either I'm choosing between the business continuing on or letting go of 22 people and feeling the guilt and shame of feeling like I let them down and disappointed them. That burnout that I felt, that depression that I felt for a few days, that not wanting to work, not wanting to do anything, it was painfully obvious that it had nothing to do with the amount of work on my plate. It was the emotions and weight connected to the work I had to do. You know, we've had salespeople on our teams. Nothing has changed in their schedule that all of a sudden feel like they have to decrease their call volume because they're getting burnt out. And when we address things, really what I've identified with certain people is, oh, this thing happened with a family member that's been really emotionally affecting you, or you had a really bad month and now it feels hard to even show up to work because you're not making any money. So when we address these different things, it's more often than not has nothing to do with the external, has more to do with what's going on internally, that state that needs help. I remember working with a salesperson not too long ago that was really feeling burnt out. What she was feeling was this intense pressure to get it right. And she felt like everything that she did was wrong. And so she had this intense self-judgment and accusation that she carried over herself that affected everything that she did that felt high stakes. And it was just more and more and more compounded reinforcement that she was no good, that she was not lovable, and that she was not good enough. And so when we touched that pain, we got to help her see that there was a little girl inside of her heart that felt not good enough, that needed to have fathering. The woman caught in adultery, she was loved in her worst. That's how she was able to go and sin no more. We can't just force ourselves and pressure ourselves to get it right. We need to address the parts of ourselves that don't feel lovable when we get it wrong. There are many different examples of how to address that internally, but what my biggest recommendation is to you when you're trying to avoid burnout is don't rush to the external. Try and understand with curiosity, not to fix yourself as a problem, but with curiosity, what's going on underneath at a deeper level that's causing me to experience burnout. Number 2, you need a strong vision and a why. Without vision, man perishes. If you don't know why you're doing something, you're gonna have very little capacity to do the thing that gets you to your why, right? If I forget that my goal is to impact thousands of people with this message that I believe saves them from shame and suffering, then I'm going to really question, why am I working 10 hours a day during this season that requires more of my effort and time? If I forget about my why, if I forget why I'm doing something, I'm going to be exhausted doing all of this hard stuff. I heard this from a mentor one time. He said, if you have a strong word from the Lord, you'll be able to put up with a lot of junk. And it's true. If you hear from God in an area, you know that you can go through a lot to get there. You may have figured out all of this stuff that was going on inside of you. You feel good, you feel congruent, connected to yourself, but you may just have lost the reason why you're doing something. Are you in this season and doing the thing to gain skills for training ground for where you're going? Are you in this season to build capital for this thing you're trying to buy? Or in this season because it's a strong learning season? Are you in this season because God has you here and he said, hey, I have you here and I don't want you to know why you're here. I just want you to trust me in it. What is the why of your season? It's very easy. It gets easier and easier and easier to remember a why and have a vision for where you're going that keeps you strong and with high capacity in the moment you're going through it. One thing that I do is I like to just meditate with the Lord. I ask him questions. What do you see for my life? How do you see my life? How do you see this thing that I feel really scared about? I'll be a truth teller with him. I'm really scared about this thing. Here's what I believe about this thing. Here's how I feel about this thing. How do you see it? What do you want me to know about this thing that I don't know? The most successful athletes in the world see themselves having victories before their games, before their performances. Michael Phelps saw himself hitting the edge of the pool before every other swimmer before he did it. He would not let himself see anything other than victory and success. That's so important when he's putting in 10 to 15 miles per day of swimming. He did that because he had a vision to be the very, very best. Number 3, fixing things externally. So remember that thing I said not to do? Well, there are times and places when it makes sense to start addressing things externally. Have you overcommitted to things in this season? Have you been the yes man that says yes to every great opportunity? You're like, this is a good opportunity. This is a good opportunity. This is a good opportunity. If you're the person that thinks you can be best friends with 100 people, you're very wrong, okay? You cannot say yes to everyone. You cannot say yes to everything. You need to look at, what is this season about? What have you committed to? What things do you need to say no to? What's more important in life is not what are the things you need to say yes to, it's what are the things you need to say no to. I can tell you right now, as a new father of a 1-year-old, there are plenty of things I have to say no to. And I have to get better and better at doing those things to protect my capacity as a dad, my capacity as a husband, and as a business leader. Those are the things I prioritize most, which means friendships fall by the wayside in this season. Or I'll have more conversations about my capacity and what it looks like in this season. But you need to address, are there too many things you have going on in the season that are actually just bogging you down? Are there things you need to do to fix your nutrition? Do you need to do less social media? Do you need to do less Netflix and Amazon Prime? Do you need to have more moments where you've blocked out all noise and you're just silent with yourself? Those are things you may need to answer for yourself right now. Those are the 3 ways to get rid of or avoid burnout in your life as a Christian in entrepreneurship or pretty much anything. Hope this video was valuable, that you got something out of it. Bless you guys. Hope you never have to experience burnout, even though I know it's probably not the case for a lot of you. But if you liked this video, you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel for more videos. But I'd love to see in the comments any thoughts you guys have about this or any other topics you would like to enjoy me sharing about. Hope this was valuable. I aim to make valuable content for you. I have nothing to sell you, and I hope you have an amazing day. See you next time.